Jack's science experiment. The science fair announcement. One Monday morning at school, Jack's teacher, Mr. Davis, made an exciting announcement during class. "Next month, we're going to have our annual science fair," Mr. Davis said. "Each student needs to come up with a science experiment to present at the fair. It's a chance to be creative and explore something you're interested in." Jack loved science, so the idea of doing an experiment excited him. He raised his hand and asked, "Can we choose any experiment we want?" "Yes," Mr. Davis replied. "As long as it's safe and you can explain the science behind it. You're free to choose whatever you like." Jack began to think about what kind of experiment he wanted to do. He had always been interested in plants and how they grow. So he thought that might be a good topic for his project. "I'm going to do something amazing for the science fair," Jack thought. Choosing the experiment. When Jack got home from school that day, he told his family about the science fair. Emily, his mom, smiled. "That sounds exciting, Jack. Have you decided what experiment you want to do?" "I think I want to do something with plants," Jack said. "Maybe I can study how plants grow in different conditions." John, his dad, nodded. "That's a great idea. You could experiment with things like light, water, and soil to see how they affect plant growth." Jack liked the idea. "Yeah, I can grow the same type of plant, but change the amount of water or sunlight they get. Then I can see which one grows the best." Lily, Jack's sister, was interested too. "That sounds cool. I can help you if you want." Jack smiled. "Thanks, Lily. I'll need help measuring the plants and taking notes." Setting up the experiment. The next weekend, Jack and his dad went to the garden store to buy everything they needed for the experiment. They got small pots, soil, and seeds for the plants. Jack chose bean plants because they grow quickly and are easy to measure. Back at home, Jack set up the experiment in the backyard. He planted 3 seeds in 3 separate pots. For each pot, he would change one condition. Pot 1 would get a lot of sunlight and regular water. Pot 2 would get a little sunlight but regular water. Pot 3 would get no sunlight kept in a dark closet but regular water. "I wonder which one will grow the best," Jack said, as he finished planting the seeds. "Now I just need to take care of them and check their growth every day." Lily helped Jack make a chart to track the plant's progress. "We can measure the height of the plants and write down how they look every few days," she said. Watching the plants grow. Every day after school, Jack checked on his plants. He made sure to water them regularly and measured their height with a ruler. Lily helped him write down the measurements in the chart they had made. After a few days, the plant in pot 1, which was getting a lot of sunlight, started to grow quickly. Its leaves were green, and it was getting taller every day. "The sunlight is really helping this plant grow fast," Jack said, excited to see the results. The plant in pot 2, which was getting only a little sunlight, was growing too, but not as fast. Its leaves were a little smaller, and the stem wasn't as strong. "This one is growing, but it's not as healthy as the first one," Jack observed. But the plant in pot 3, which was kept in the dark closet, wasn't growing well at all. It looked weak, and the leaves were pale. "This plant doesn't look good," Lily said, looking at the small, weak plant. "It must really need sunlight to grow." Preparing for the science fair. As the days passed, Jack continued to take care of his plants and record their growth. The differences between the plants became more obvious. Pot 1 lots of sunlight, the plant was tall, green, and healthy. Pot 2 little sunlight, the plant was shorter, with fewer leaves. Pot 3 no sunlight, the plant was small, weak, and pale. I've learned that sunlight is really important for plants, Jack said. Without enough sunlight, they can't grow well. With the science fair coming up, Jack started preparing his presentation. He made a poster with pictures of his plants and the data he had collected. Lily helped him make the poster colorful and easy to understand. "Your experiment turned out great," Lily said. "You're definitely going to do well at the science fair." Jack smiled. "Thanks for your help, Lily. I'm excited to show everyone what I learned." The science fair. The day of the science fair finally arrived. Jack brought his plants and poster to school and set them up on a table with the other students' projects. The gym was filled with interesting experiments. Some students had built volcano models, others had made robots, and a few had studied animals or chemistry. When it was time for the judges to come around, Jack explained his experiment to them. "I grew 3 plants in different conditions," Jack said confidently. "The first plant got a lot of sunlight, the second got a little sunlight, and the third got no sunlight. I learned that plants need sunlight to grow well. The plant with the most sunlight was the healthiest, while the one without sunlight didn't grow much at all." The judges nodded and asked Jack a few questions about his experiment. Jack felt proud of his work and happy that he could explain the results clearly. The results. At the end of the day, all the students gathered in the gym for the Science Fair Awards. Mr. Davis stood at the front of the room with the judges. "We're so proud of all the students who participated in the science fair," Mr. Davis said. "You all did amazing work. Now, it's time to announce the winners." Jack waited nervously as the judges announced the winners. Finally, they called out his name. "And the prize for the best plant experiment goes to Jack Smith, for his project on how sunlight affects plant growth." Jack couldn't believe it. He walked up to the front of the room to accept his award, feeling proud and excited. "Great job, Jack," his friends and family cheered from the audience. Celebrating success. After the science fair, Jack's family took him out for ice cream to celebrate his success. "I'm really proud of you, Jack," Emily said. "You worked hard and did a fantastic job." John nodded. "And you learned a lot about science along the way. I think you're going to be a great scientist someday." Jack smiled. "Thanks, everyone. I had so much fun doing the experiment, and I learned that science is all about asking questions and finding answers." Lily laughed. "Maybe next time we can do an experiment together." Jack grinned. "Sounds like a plan." As they enjoyed their ice cream, Jack thought about how much fun the science fair had been and how much he had learned from his experiment. He couldn't wait to start his next scientific adventure.